Well, good morning. Welcome to New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. And my question is, how are you today? I am having a good day. I hope you're having a good day. It's here, we're Saturday morning here in Fresno. I'm recently back from the 7th Annual Canadian National New Thought Conference where I had a speaking engagement up there, and it was good. It was a lot of fun, got my batteries recharged. And so here I am today back in the Central Valley, and I want to tell you, I'm glad to be home. It is a little bit cooler up there, and it's a little warmer here, but that's okay. What I wanted to talk about today, we've talked a lot about New Thought as far as the philosophy. We've talked about putting it into practice in our lives. We've talked about where you can go to find New Thought, all sorts of different things. One of the things that has come to my attention over an extended period of time, there are studies that I've read and studies that have been referred to me about people that are in this day and time. They're looking to really reach out spiritually, to connect with something spiritual, but they feel like they've been beat up by what I'll call old thought dogma. They have been there, done that, and they don't resonate with it. It doesn't speak to them. And so oftentimes in droves, they are leaving the old thought way of spiritual celebration, the old churches, the old religious philosophies. Oftentimes their search, their spiritual life ends right there, and I personally feel that's rather tragic because we are created beings. That's my belief, that we are created, and that which created us has instilled within us a desire, an urge, if you will, to seek out our spirituality and to empower it, to grow it. And if we stifle it, if we mute it, our life experience oftentimes leaves us feeling with a sense of lacking. And I'm going to ask you, have you ever experienced, if you're one of the individuals that I'm talking about, those times when you've got a feeling that there's something more out there. There's something that you just can't quite put your handle on it. You can't quite touch it. You know that there's something there. You'd really like to make some kind of connection if you could just figure it out, but you're at a loss. Statistics show that what we call New Thought, which covers many different philosophies from unity, agape, if you're familiar with Michael Beckwith, Centers for Spiritual Living, Anton affiliated New Thought Network, INTA, which is International New Thought Association, many different other affiliations and organizations, and independent centers and churches also. They're there. The thing is, oftentimes people aren't aware that they're there, and they don't exactly know that what these centers and churches teach is a way to connect spiritually with that which we call the divine, or we call God, or we call Great Spirit, or many different other names. And it's there. It's one of the best kept secrets, I think, in our spiritual philosophy circles within the United States, that there is this teaching, this New Thought teaching, that says that God is everywhere, that there's nowhere that God is not. That means that you are some part of the divine that is manifested you. Think about that. How empowering is that when we realize that the divine is some part of me, some part of you, that there is a unity, a oneness, a connectedness. My goodness, isn't that just absolutely phenomenal? Thing is, as I said, people are leaving the old thought philosophies. They're out there oftentimes not paying any attention to what's going on. They have no clue that there are these organizations. They have no clue that what I teach here, what I share with you on these shows, even exists. As a matter of fact, that there is a teaching, a philosophy, a way to empower these people, you, with a way to connect with Spirit, with God, a way to empower your life, a way to realize that you can create the life that you were, if you will, designed to live, and you can experience that life at a much higher level than what you're experiencing now. As a matter of fact, I have had people that have come up and talked to me and said, Rev Steve, come on, life is life. You know, you have good days, you got bad days, you win some, you lose some. That's absolutely true. But how you experience those things, how you experience that win some, lose some, is totally up to you. And it's a proven fact that if you embody a positive state of consciousness, if you, even in bad times, if you have a realization that times are going to get better, you experience not only a more empowered life, a more positive life, but a more healthy life too. So as I was thinking about the show today, these are some of the underlying thoughts that came to my mind. And then I got to thinking about, well, let's take a look at the world around us today. When I talk about the world, I'm talking about here in the Central Valley or in the Western world, the United States. And let's take a look at how pervasive that which we call New Thought is in our lives. And most people don't even recognize it. So I'm going to touch on a little bit of history today. I'm going to touch on about how we experience New Thought in our lives, and we'll just see how it plays out. Back in about the mid-1800s, in the United States, there was a fellow by the name of Phineas Quimby, and he is considered by many people to be the founder of the New Thought movement. But the philosophy itself actually dates back, the teachings date back to Plato, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Neoplatonists like Plotinus. You come up through the Middle Ages, Meister Eckhart, who was a Catholic mystic, Michael Servetus Villanovus, who was our first New Thought martyr, if you will. So we've got a deep history of thinkers and teachers and spiritual beings, spiritual individuals that have, through personal journeys of opening and developing themselves on a spiritual level, they have discovered these various things. As a matter of fact, one of these is a fellow that we're all pretty much familiar with, and most all the modern religions represent or recognize Jesus as a teacher. There are some that see him as a God, some that see him as the Son of God. There's some that see him as the great example, not the great exception, that we are all, in fact, sons and daughters of God, and that what Jesus did was he was able to discover an ability, a way to see and live at a higher level of consciousness, and then through his teachings to share that with people. And if you look at the historical record, not the theological record, you'll see that a lot of what he taught kind of fell by the wayside, and a lot of what is taught today is more an overlay, what was taught about him, what was imposed upon this man in his life, and not necessarily based in a true reality, but is based in the history and the record of individual times. So we have that basic history and background, but we move up and we get, like I said, we get to Phineas Quimby. He's in the 1850s, 1860s. He teaches some people, some of those people like Mary Baker Eddy, who ended up founding Christian Science. She had students. Quimby taught a fellow that his name was Warren Felt Evans, but Mary Baker Eddy had a student in her, or someone that was in her organization, by the name of Emma Curtis Hopkins, and she taught this concept and the basic principles and concepts of New Thought that was being shared and experienced at this time was the idea of this unity of all that is, that there is only one God, that God is everything, that means God is all a part of us, and that God, because we are some part of that God, there's mind and be some part of this mind, that we all are empowered on some level to influence and have have an understanding of that. And so we're getting ready now to go to our first break. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about this concept of influencing what's going on in our lives and some of the basic understanding. And what's interesting is science today is beginning to peel back the layers of the onion, if you will, and we're seeing that maybe these philosophical concepts from the late 1800s, early 1900s are becoming scientific concepts today. So I'll see you when we come back.
Viewers of Central Valley Talk, what is your home worth? The experienced agents at Mike Briggs Properties are offering a free property valuation if you mention Central Valley Talk. Find the value of your property for free. Call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mention Central Valley Talk. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
This message was brought to you by Javita Coffee. Change your coffee, change your life, one cup at a time. Check us out at ilovejavita.com.
Let our family at Avakian Insurance Services help protect your family's future. If you've bought a new home, changed vehicles, or just need a comprehensive review, let our agents help you. As your family grows, we can offer you competitive rates on life and health insurance. Call Avakian Insurance Services for a quote today. Avakian Insurance Services, 268-7386, or visit us online at avakianinsurance.com. Come join the A-Team.
In 1985, Larry Korth set out to help his friends, family, and community find affordable ways to buy a home or a business property. 30 years later, Mid-Valley Financial is the premier mortgage banker in the Central Valley. The professional staff at Mid-Valley will find the best mortgage products for your family. Mid-Valley Financial takes great pride in being the Central Valley's local lender. Visit us at midvalleyfinancial.com.
Watts Family Grill. We grill slow, smile, secret sauce, cold beer, and old friends. Park out back. Look for us on Blackstone, south of McKinley. Watts Family Grill.
Snowy, 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 snowy shaved ice truck. If you're having a party, call Snowy Shaved Ice Truck.
If it's a hot day in your neighborhood, or if you're having a birthday party or block party, invite Mr. Snowy. Call 803-1779 or go to snowyfresno.com.
Snowy, 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 snowy shaved ice truck. If you're having a party, call Snowy Shaved Ice Truck.
Lunch phone, what is your location, please?
I'm in Fresno's Tower District.
What is your budget, please?
I only have $7.
Well, that leaves you only one choice. Go directly to Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District. He is having a lunch special for $6.89.
Well, that won't leave me enough money to get a drink.
No worries. Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District will get you lunch and a drink for just $6.89.
Wow, I'm going straight to Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District to get the lunch special and drink for just $6.89.
Thank you for calling Lunch Phone. This has been a recording.
What?
Let the professionals at William L. Mitchell Landscaping make your lawn and gardens beautiful. If you need a new lawn, landscape design, or if you need someone to take over the weekly drudgery of caring for your yard, William L. Mitchell Landscaping can meet your needs. With his ornamental horticulture degree from Fresno State, Bill is qualified to take care of all phases of your landscape construction and design. Call Bill at William L. Mitchell Landscaping at 283-8849. That's Bill Mitchell, 283-8849.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back. It's New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling. I'm glad you're here today. We're located today here in beautiful downtown Fresno. And so I was talking about this idea of the development of a philosophy of a oneness of God and a teaching that there is a, if you will, an overlay or an understanding that everything is some basic form of some type of energy. And all energies interact. You know, science today tells us that if we look at our body, for example, that we are 99.9 some percent space, that the actual particulate matter that makes up our body is minuscule compared to the space in between, because the atoms and the electrons and all this sort of stuff. But the thing is, if you begin to look at this and you understand that this is all just some level of energy, that energy can be influenced by other forms of energy, and what science is seeing today, there is something that's called, in physics, called the observer effect, where one outcome versus another outcome off the same experiment can be different depending on how the individual that sets up the experience has an expectation of what outcome they're going to get. And that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But the thing is that we are some form of energy, that the universe, that all creation is some form of energy. And when we talk about this thing that we call spirit, divine spirit, or God, or whatever you want to call it, that it is kind of the ultimate all of everything that is a divine energy. That thoughts are things, that thoughts are a form of energy. And this, again, science knows that as we think our thoughts, that we can, and they have devices that can actually sit outside of our head, and that they can register the energy of our thoughts, that it goes beyond our skull, and it's out there. And as a matter of fact, today they can even, they're even working on, and this is just incredible, they're working on having the ability to actually read your thoughts with electronic instruments. Imagine. How powerful is that? But if they can do that outside of your body, if energy is what everything is made out of, and it is, that's not open for discussion anymore. The science has pretty much put the lid on that. That we have the ability through our thoughts to influence the energy in and around our lives, not just the consciousness of feeling positive because we decide we're going to feel up, we make a decision to feel good, but actually influence the reality in which we live. In health, we have known for a long time that there is something that is called the observer effect, or the placebo effect. And that is an amazing thing, but all new medicines that come onto the market are tested against this idea of the placebo effect. And what this is that we give a sugar pill to someone and we give the real pill to someone else, and we tell them both that they're getting the real pill, and we see if there is an increased healing over here versus the one over here that just has the placebo. And oftentimes, although we see a substantial increase in healing on this side, we see a significant amount of healing on this side. And that is a direct result of the placebo effect. There are people with what we call very serious conditions that have spontaneous remissions. No medical basis for it, no medical understanding why it happens, but it happens. There are something like 54 to 70 trillion cells in our body, and there are all these little energy things. And at one time, we understood that all information in the body was carried through what we call our nervous system. Today, science tells us that there is an instantaneous communication between the entire cellular makeup of our body sometimes. It's amazing. But when you incorporate this with the idea that we are these energy beings, that we have this ability to connect with ourselves on a spiritual level, that thoughts are things that we can influence what we are, and how we experience things, all of a sudden, life takes on a whole different appearance for us. We're no longer subject to the whims of things. We're no longer subject to what's going on in the news or whatever. And let me tell you, I want to caution you. I'm going to take a little side minute here. I want to caution you on something. If you're a news junkie, be careful what you subject yourself to, because there is a lower, what we call the subjective mind, and it records everything that goes on around you. And if you hear negative things and you embody that within yourself, it can come back and influence you in ways that are not necessarily positive. So just a little cautionary note aside. But what's exciting for me is to look around at society today, because New Thought started, like I say, back with Quimby in the mid-1800s. We get to the turn of the 19th to the 20th century. At that time, New Thought is very pervasive within the American society. It's significant. There were New Thought columnists on many of the newspapers. The Hearst newspapers had New Thought columnists. They were just around, and people were reading and experiencing. And it's interesting to note that at that time, the mainstream Christian organizations often embodied New Thought teachings, and oftentimes had New Thought teachers come and speak at their churches. This idea of the fundamentalist Christian organizations is a relatively new idea that, again, it came about in the early part of the 20th century. So it's not that ancient old-time religion that people often think it is. But anyway, so we've got this growing movement of New Thought. There are things that happened in the world, the world wars and various other things, the depressions and stuff, and New Thought it kind of percolated below the surface there, and it's been there. After World War II, when society began to really prosper and stuff, New Thought was still there, and they're growing, and they're moving along, and things are going. We come up to our time today. New Thought really hasn't expanded a whole lot, and I ask myself, and I've done this a lot through my prayer work, through my studies, why is that so? And the realization is New Thought really has grown, but it hasn't grown under the aegis of New Thought. It hasn't grown under the name of New Thought, but it's grown tremendously. As a matter of fact, you can't go anywhere today. There's nowhere that you can go today that you're not subjected to New Thought consciousness. And it's exciting to me on one hand, but on the other hand, I think it's time that we open up as a society to the foundations of the principles that are involved, because these principles are so powerful when we incorporate them in our lives, that to understand where they came from, how they developed, is going to be just tremendous. Because, like I said earlier in the show, one of the basic principles of New Thought is this concept of God being one. There's everywhere, nowhere that God's not. That means that everything is a unity. That means that on the other side of the world, whoever they are, whatever they are, we're all part of that same oneness. There is no separateness. Now think about what that means if we began to, as a nation, lived our lives from that level of consciousness, that there is just a one, there's a wholeness. And if the world began to live from that level of consciousness, that there's just a oneness and a wholeness, think about how the world would change. You know, some people talk about the concept, the understanding that there's poverty in the world, and people that live, without food and all this. It's tragic. But the truth is that the world today, in the world, they produce enough food to feed everybody. They produce enough goods that everybody can live at a level of life that is what we would consider abundant, that nobody has to go without, and yet we don't. Why don't we? Because there are people that live with old thought consciousness, people that live with the idea that there must be lack and limitation in order for there to be prosperity, and that's just a lie. When we understand that God is everywhere, that God is infinite, that God is the prospering energy behind all that is, and we begin to embody that within ourselves, think about how that changes that old paradigm. So, today, we've got people like Deepak Chopra, Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Gary Zukav, Stephen Covey, and the list goes on and on and on. These are people that are known to millions and millions of Americans and people throughout the world. They've taken things that Wayne Dyer has taught, and they've embodied them in their lives, and their lives have changed. They've taken the things that Deepak Chopra has taught, and they've embodied them in their lives, and their lives have changed. People that have followed Tony Robbins, that have used the principles that he teaches, and they've become successful in their lives. People that have taken Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Successful Individuals, and they've put it into practice in their lives, and their lives have changed. All of these things are things that came out of the New Thought movement. We go back again, I'm going to take you back to around the turn of the century, where we had people like Wallace Wattles writing about the science of getting rich. Now, most people today don't know who Wallace Wattles is, and most people today have no clue about the science of getting rich. But many people today know about Napoleon Hill, and they know about what he taught. Many people today know about Norman Vincent Peale and the power of positive consciousness. They know what he thought or taught, and they have taken these things and they have incorporated them in their lives without understanding that there is this spiritual principle behind it. There's a spiritual teaching behind it. And all this spiritual principle and all this spiritual teaching has a basic tools that we teach. And one of the things that I learned many, many years ago is that what one person can do, what one man or woman can do, if anybody else does exactly the same thing, they will get exactly the same results. And that includes what they do on a spiritual level, and what they do on a believing level, what they do on a physical level. Now, obviously that we all have our individual differences, but the basic concept is solid and it works. So we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this. See you then.
Viewers of Central Valley Talk, what is your home worth? The experienced agents at Mike Briggs Properties are offering a free property valuation if you mention Central Valley Talk. Find the value of your property for free. Call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mention Central Valley Talk. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
This message was brought to you by Javita Coffee. Change your coffee, change your life, 1 cup at a time. Check us out at ilovejavita.com.
Snowy, 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 Snowy Shaved Ice Truck. If you're having a party, call Snowy Shaved Ice Truck.
If it's a hot day in your neighborhood, or if you're having a birthday party or block party, invite Mr. Snowy. Call 803-1779 or go to snowyfresno.com.
Snowy, 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 Snowy Shaved Ice Truck. If you're having a party, call Snowy Shaved Ice Truck.
Let the professionals at William L. Mitchell Landscaping make your lawn and gardens beautiful. If you need a new lawn, landscape design, or if you need someone to take over the weekly drudgery of caring for your yard, William L. Mitchell Landscaping can meet your needs. With his ornamental horticulture degree from Fresno State, Bill is qualified to take care of all phases of your landscape construction and design. Call Bill at William L. Mitchell Landscaping at 283-8849. That's Bill Mitchell, 283-8849.
Lunch phone, what is your location, please?
I'm in Fresno's Tower District.
What is your budget, please?
I only have $7.
Well, that leaves you only one choice. Go directly to Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District. He is having a lunch special for $6.89.
Well, that won't leave me enough money to get a drink.
No worries. Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District will get you lunch and a drink for just $6.89.
Wow, I'm going straight to Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District to get the lunch special and drink for just $6.89.
Thank you for calling Lunch Phone. This has been a recording.
What?
In 1985, Larry Korth set out to help his friends, family, and community find affordable ways to buy a home or a business property. 30 years later, Mid-Valley Financial is the premier mortgage banker in the Central Valley. The professional staff at Mid-Valley will find the best mortgage products for your family. Mid-Valley Financial takes great pride in being the Central Valley's local lender. Visit us at midvalleyfinancial.com.
Hello, Hello, I'm Shelly at Horn Photo, and it's time to do more with your pictures. Get those images out of your camera, off your computer, and rescued from deep within your phone, and turn them into memorable photo keepsakes and gifts. Here at Horn Photo in Fresno, we have many wonderful photo items that we produce in-house, and we're here to help you find your individual style. So now's the time. Stop by Horn Photo in the Bellagio at Blackstone and East, or visit us online at hornphoto.com to explore the possibilities.
Watts Family Grill. We grill slow, smile, secret sauce, cold beer, and old friends. Park out back. Look for us on Blackstone, south of McKinley. Watts Family Grill.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back to New Thought Talk. You are at the right place to be today, because here we're talking about things and principles and understandings that if you take and you embody them in your life experience, you will change your life. And that is such an incredible, powerful thing. You know, I've been talking about that we can change our lives by changing our thinking. We can incorporate these principles into our life. I've been talking about how they've moved into mainstream society, even if they haven't moved in under the name of New Thought, but they're out there, and you know, with people like Wayne Dyer and Deepak and Napoleon Hill. You know, Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, is probably on the shelf of most every successful businessman in the world today. At least it was back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the early part of the 2000s. It's just an incredible understanding of what it takes to create a consciousness of success. It's powerful. So we move up to our present time, where you've got Wayne Dyer. Who hasn't seen Wayne Dyer on PBS? Come on, everybody sees him. He's almost single-handedly in some ways supporting PBS, because everything that comes from his programs goes back in to support PBS. And that's a powerful ministry, if you will, that Wayne has created. And you know, through it, though, he has changed, he's touched, he's reached out in so many lives, and he shares these experiences of lives that have changed from people that have utilized the things that he's taught and has incorporated it. But even more than that, today, we see New Thought moving into mainstream areas, even mainstream old thought religions. Take a look at Joel Osteen, for example. Joel has taken the New Thought principles, and he has enfolded them into an overlay of basic Christian beliefs. Joel reaches out every Sunday, and he touches tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of people through his TV show. He's got some stadium down in Texas that he fills. It's absolutely incredible. And he does this because he teaches a truth philosophy of personal empowerment, that there is a God, the God that loves the world, that we're not here under the weight of servitude, that we're not here to experience life, a better life and some life beyond, but we're here to experience this life maximally, and that God wants us to experience this life, that we are empowered to experience this life, but most of us don't know it. And so, you know, when I see Joel on TV, you know, God bless him, I'm glad he's there, because there are people that need to hear the message, and they can hear it through what I'll call Christian New Thought. Nothing wrong with that. You know, in mainstream New Thought, oftentimes we refer to ourselves as New Thought Christianity or progressive Christianity. And for those of you that don't understand, I'll go back, and I think I touched on this at the beginning of the show, that we do see Jesus as the great example. We do understand his teachings, and we do teach his teachings. We see him as an important part, not the only part, but an important part of our spiritual growth. And that's what it's all about, is growing spiritually. And we can do that, and you can do that. If you're one of those people that has been caught up in old thought religion, old thought philosophy, that have felt repressed and depressed, that maybe it's time that you step out, that you make that connection with your spiritual you. You are a spiritual being, and you're here to live this life on a spiritual level. And when you do, the self-fulfillment that you will experience, the self-enoughness, if you will, that you will experience is absolutely phenomenal. People that have done this have seen not only their lives, but the lives of people around them change. And that's one of the things that we see in the New Thought movement, oftentimes because we don't publicize New Thought, we don't advertise New Thought, we teach New Thought and we live New Thought. Again, whether it's religious science, which has oftentimes taken a hit because people associate it with something that's called Scientology. There is no connection. And if you think that that's what it's about, I'm here to tell you that religious science is a totally different kind of philosophy, divine science. What it is understanding that science and spirituality, religion, can come together and understand and see the world as we believe that it truly is. Understand that there is a one creator, that there is this infinite energy, that there is this infinite ability to affect the world around you and to deal with the world from such an incredible power base from within. You know, things, like I said earlier, things happen, but we don't have to be at the ebb and flow of things that happen. We can experience our life in such a way that we have a level of control in our lives, a level of empowerment in our lives, a level of success in our lives, a level of spiritual realization in our lives that is so incredibly wonderful, harmonious, peace-filled, joyful, and it's all there. And it's all there for each of us. No one is accepted. No one is denied entry. Knock and the door shall be open. You can pass through. You can experience it. You can have it today. And that's the thing. That is the blessing of New Thought, is the understanding that no matter where you're at, you can start right where you're at today. You know, there are people that teach that if you get so far behind, if you will, that the groundwork that you have to do to make it up is so incredibly daunting that oftentimes people they throw up their hands, they say, not me. I'm here to tell you that today, right here, right now, that you can experience and begin to experience that which I've been talking about today. The idea that you can create a life of good, create a life of harmony, create a life of peace, create a life of abundance. And if you want to do that and still maintain a connection with your old thought philosophy, you can do that, because there's nothing that New Thought teaches that will prohibit you or keep you from experiencing old thought spirituality. You can take it, as I said, Joel Osteen has taken it and he's enfolded it into Christianity, and he brings his message today. There is a fellow, some of you that are out there from a Pentecostal background might remember or might know of a fellow that his name is Bishop Carlton Pearson. Bishop Pearson was a hand-picked successor to Oral Roberts. He came up he's fifth-generation Pentecostal minister, preacher. He came up through Oral Roberts University. He was sat on the board. He started and led a church in Tulsa that was 6,000 strong on Sunday. He reached out. He had television shows. He had an Azusa conference where he reached out and touched 40,000 people would show up there, and it would go beyond through the media that it would go out. Absolutely incredible. Back in about 1992, Bishop Carlton was watching a show, a documentary, where he was watching women coming back in Rwanda with their children, coming back from one of the terrible things that had happened there. And he began to understand, and he'd been doing a lot of study, reading the New Testament in the original Greek language, and understanding that the translations from Greek to English don't necessarily translate smoothly, and that there's a variance in the way that they can be translated, and a variance in the understanding, and that oftentimes the English language Bibles do not give the best translation to what's going on. And as he's thinking about this, as he's incorporating this in himself, he's watching these women, he's watching these children, and he thinks to himself, how can a God that I teach, a God that that we profess is a God of love, damn these people to an eternity of hell because they've never heard the word. And he began to think, no, that can't be. And as he studied more and he thought more and he prayed more and he worked on it more, and he began to understand that there is a greater good and a greater God than the God that he was teaching. And that is a God that is everywhere. That is a God that is love. And then he looked at what he perceived was Jesus' work here on earth. And he really took a look at what it was that Jesus taught. And he began to see that Jesus came here to be the great example, to teach that we are all one, to teach that I and my Father are one, but so are you. That those things that I can do, you can do, and you can do that much more. That the power of prayer is such that if you pray believing, your Father answers your prayer. That this is just an amazing revelation for this man. And all of a sudden, he began to shift how he was teaching on Sunday. And instead of teaching old thought and damnation, he began teaching new thought and inclusion. And he began to see that the God of the universe, the God of the infiniteness, was truly a God of love. And that this God empowers us. This God uplifts us when we open ourselves up to it. That's the key, though. We have to do the work. So for those of us that have left the old thought philosophies, that are out there kind of floundering, if you will, the thing to do now is to find those principles, and begin to put them into practice. And I'll talk about that when we come back to the next segment, because it is time for our break. See you when we come back.
Viewers of Central Valley Talk, what is your home worth? The experienced agents at Mike Briggs Properties are offering a free property valuation if you mention Central Valley Talk. Find the value of your property for free. Call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mention Central Valley Talk. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
This message was brought to you by Javita Coffee. Change your coffee, change your life, one cup at a time. Check us out at ilovejavita.com.
Let our family at Avakian Insurance Services help protect your family's future. If you've bought a new home, changed vehicles, or just need a comprehensive review, let our agents help you. As your family grows, we can offer you competitive rates on life and health insurance. Call Avakian Insurance Services for a quote today. Avakian Insurance Services, 268-7386. Or visit us online at avakianinsurance.com. Come join the A-Team.
In 1985, Larry Korth set out to help his friends, family, and community find affordable ways to buy a home or a business property. 30 years later, Mid-Valley Financial is the premier mortgage banker in the Central Valley. The professional staff at Mid-Valley will find the best mortgage products for your family. Mid-Valley Financial takes great pride in being the Central Valley's local lender. Visit us at midvalleyfinancial.com.
Watts Family Grill. We grill slow, smile, secret sauce, cold beer, and old friends. Park out back. Look for us on Blackstone, south of McKinley. Watts Family Grill.
Snowy, 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 Snowy Shaved Ice Truck. If you're having a party, call Snowy Shaved Ice Truck.
If it's a hot day in your neighborhood, or if you're having a birthday party or block party, invite Mr. Snowy. Call 803-1779 or go to snowyfresno.com.
Snowy, 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 Snowy Shaved Ice Truck. If you're having a party, call Snowy Shaved Ice Truck.
Lunch phone, what is your location, please?
I'm in Fresno's Tower District.
What is your budget, please?
I only have $7.
Well, that leaves you only one choice. Go directly to Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District. He is having a lunch special for $6.89.
Well, that won't leave me enough money to get a drink.
No worries. Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District will get you lunch and a drink for just $6.89.
Wow, I'm going straight to Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District to get the lunch special and drink for just $6.89.
Thank you for calling Lunch Phone. This has been a recording.
What?
Let the professionals at William L. Mitchell Landscaping make your lawn and gardens beautiful. If you need a new lawn, landscape design, or if you need someone to take over the weekly drudgery of caring for your yard, William L. Mitchell Landscaping can meet your needs. With his ornamental horticulture degree from Fresno State, Bill is qualified to take care of all phases of your landscape construction and design. Call Bill at William L. Mitchell Landscaping at 283-8849. That's Bill Mitchell, 283-8849.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back. It is New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. It is a beautiful day here in Fresno today as we've been filming our show. And I've been talking about the history of New Thought, some of the current manifestations of New Thought. And gosh, we're into our last segment already. Go figure. Time flies. Of course, when you talk about something you love, time flies. What can I say? But anyway, when we went to the break last time, I was talking about incorporating this in your life. And imagine, if you will, that if you were a couch potato for 20 years or so, and someone came along and said, you know, if you could run the 100-yard dash in a certain given time frame, that I would give you, you can pick whatever it is that the prize would be, whether it be money or something in your life, but you would get this, and all you got to do is get up off the couch and run this 100 yards. Most people that have spent that kind of time on the couch would get up, and if they made 100 yards, they'd consider themselves lucky. The sad thing is that on a spiritual basis, it's true also. So many of us are spiritual couch potatoes. We just don't do. And sometimes we don't do because we don't know. Sometimes we know, but we don't know we don't know where we can go to find like-minded people. People want to connect with people that, it's particularly on a spiritual level, they want to connect with people that are speaking the same language, that when I leave my spiritual celebration on Sunday, I feel empowered and not depressed, that I feel like I can go out this week and take this energy with me and put it to use in my life, and that it will carry me through and buoy me up through the hard times of the week, and that I look forward to coming back to it next week, not with the fear of being, beat up again, but with the anticipation of this great energy that I'm going to share with like-minded people, with a love energy, a harmony, and all this good, and it's there for me, and all I got to do is show up. That's kind of the way it is. My friend, spirituality is a participatory sport, if you will. You cannot sit on the sidelines and expect your spiritual nature to grow and prosper. It doesn't happen, but it can happen for you if you take the time. If you start, as I said in the last segment, if you start right here where you're at today, and you make a choice, and it's as simple as making one simple choice, that I'm going to do something today to promote my spirituality. Tomorrow, I'll do something else. When you were little and you were learning to walk, you didn't get up one day and start walking around the house. You got up, you fell. You got up, you fell. Or when you were learning to ride a bicycle. Most of us didn't get on a bicycle the first day and shoot on down the road and, be able to be a champion bicyclist. We fell. We had our issues until we learned to balance, until we learned to move forward. The same way with walking. As you were going through school and you were learning how to read, you were learning how to do math, all these different things are skills, and oftentimes as we got older, how many of us have learned skills that when we first thought, whatever it was, we seemed so overwhelmed. Okay, let's take a look at computers. I'm of a generation, we didn't have computers growing up. I can't tell you how many of my peers and some older people, even today, that are still, they have a fear of the computer. But yet if they'll just sit down and they'll begin to spend some time working with it, it's amazing how you apply yourself a little bit at a time. You learn a little bit more, you embody a little bit more. What a wonderful tool the computer is today. And even for us older folks, if you will, to be able to access so much knowledge, so many things in the world that it's right there at our fingertips. And for people that that fail to understand that fail to put that into practice in their lives, it's not that their lives are terrible, it's just that they're missing so much. And it's the same way with spirituality. It's not necessarily that your life is going to be so abjectly terrible, but you're missing so much. You can experience life at a higher level. You can experience life at a more productive level. You can experience life at a more positive level. You can experience life in ways that you never even began to understand, but it's there for you. It's there for each and every one of us because God is everywhere. There's nowhere that God is not. You are some part of God. You are part of the God experience, expressing yourself in this life, and it's here for you. All you got to do is get up off the couch. Stop being that spiritual couch potato. Start looking and utilizing and considering that it's as simple as finding a little bit of time each day and spending some time quieting your mind. What a simple, basic way to start. Show up at a New Thought church, a Science of Mind church, a Unity church, a Divine Science church. Go to Agape if you happen to live down in Southern California. You know, it's amazing we have an audience for this show that is national, and so we got a significant, for a small little show out of Fresno, we have a significant international audience, and I'm amazed. When I first started doing this show, I did this show for promoting New Thought here in the California Central Valley. And I figured that's all. You know, I've had as guests on my show ministers from the local New Thought centers and churches, and I will continue to have them promote their centers because I want to see New Thought grow here in the Central Valley. I want to see our neighbors, our family, our friend here in California, here in the Central Valley, embody this. It's amazing what it'll do for you. It's amazing how it changes lives. But I will tell you something on on an even more serious note. You see, my center is out in Madera. And I want to extend, if you're here in the Central Valley, Sunday morning, I want to extend an invitation for you to come on out and experience New Thought for the first time if you've never experienced it. Come to Madera and join us and see if this doesn't resonate with you. But one of the things that we teach in New Thought, and I definitely teach it in Madera, is that through this philosophy, not only do we, by changing our thinking, do we change our life, but we also change the world. There is a consciousness of unity, of oneness, of love, that when we begin to embody it, it doesn't affect just us, although it does affect us, and it affects us greatly, greater than I can begin to explain, because it's on a spiritual level. And it touches us at the core of our being, the truth of who we are, because we're not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings that have a physical expression that we call our lives. But when we begin to embody this peace, this harmony, this oneness, this concept of unity, this embodiment of unity, we begin to see and feel and think and experience that it spreads beyond ourselves. And we take it back into our families, it spreads into our family. We take it into our community, it spreads into our community, from our community to the local area, from the local area to the greater area, and beyond that. And it can go out and it can actually affect the entire world. It is a powerful consciousness that when embodied by people, not only do their lives change around them and beyond that. That is the power of God manifest in life, working through individuals. And that's, people come to New Thought, oftentimes they think that it's all about creating their lives in this. It's an understanding that an infinite God creating infinitely, an all-present, all-knowing, all-powerful, divine, spiritual essence that we call God is here, there, and everywhere, that is available to each and every one of us, that we are some part of it, that it answers prayer, and it doesn't answer prayer. Sometimes it answers all the time, but we got to understand how it is that we need to pray, and that's part of what we teach in New Thought. How you pray, how you expect the experience of prayer to respond in your life, how to expect the good, how to anticipate, how to live your life. When you believe it, you will see it. It doesn't work the other way around. You know, Wayne Dyer's been teaching this, but he was late coming to the table. People have known for many hundreds of years. They've coached it in different verbiage, but the idea is, as Jesus said, when you pray believing, my Father will answer. And that is truth. When you pray, when you believe, then you will see. If you choose to take the skeptic's role, life will give you more to be skeptical of. When you choose to see life as being a co-creator, a co-partner in your manifest experience of your life, life becomes a co-creator, a co-partner in your life experience. Things get radically different, amazingly different. I know people that have got to this point in their lives today where they tell me, they say, Reverend Steve, I don't believe in miracles. Although I see miracles happening in my life all the time, I just believe that it's God doing what God does. And that's what I want you to take with you today. It's God doing what God does, and you can be a participant in that. You can. Don't think that you're locked out. Don't think that the door's closed, because it's open, and it's open to you. And so as we come to the conclusion of the show, I want to remind you, as I do each and every week, that there are a couple of websites that you can go to. If you happen to be one of our national or international members of our audience, that you don't necessarily know where there's a New Thought Center near you, you can go to a web page that is called findacenter.com. No spaces, findacenter.com. If you go there, there is a map of the world. If you're not in the United States, find the country that you're from. Put that little arrow on there if you're not real familiar with how computers work. Put it on the country that you live on. Click on it. It will open up. It'll break it down into states or provinces or whatever it is. Wherever you're at in the world, you can go from there down to cities, and you will find the center that is nearest to you. It'll be a New Thought Center of some kind. The Serving New Thought organization that puts this together, they incorporate all New Thought Centers. They are not a non-denominational New Thought, if you will. And if you are a member of a center, I want you to go there and check and make sure that your center is listed there. And if you follow up, if you read some of the things, you'll find out that there's things that you can do to improve your listing in that, so that when people do go look for you, that they can find you in your web page and various other things that you can enhance your web presence there. Also, there is another web page that is called newthoughtlibrary.com. If you go there, you will find books from the pioneers of New Thought. You can search either through author or title of book, and you will find just an incredible array of good things there, things that you can begin with, from to incorporate, to learn, to get off your couch, stop being a spiritual couch potato, that you can read and study. And as you grow, more doors will open for you. It's an amazing thing. These are available to you. They are free. They're always there. You're on a computer 24/7. And I can tell you that there's tens of thousands of people right now, at this moment, that are using the New Thought Library, and it goes around the clock because it's used internationally. And it's there for you too. So we're wrapping our show up. It's been a great show. I've enjoyed being with you today. You come out and see us in Madera. Come out and see us, next week when the show comes back. Know that you are the presence of God, manifest as you. That's just incredible. So, my friends, as I always do, I want to close with this. May the power of God protect you. May the presence of God watch over you. May all that you are and all that you will be manifest with the understanding that you are God as you, that you are never alone. Take this thought. Go with it during the week. I'll see you when I come back. Blessings, my friends.